Good morning, everyone. My name is MightyStream, and I'm going to do our March the 11th just for today in a meditation. The title of today's meditation, Lightening the Load. It will not make us better people to judge the faults of another. It will make us feel better to clean up our lives. That comes from the basic text, page 38. Sometimes we need something tangible to help us understand what holding a resentment is doing to us. We may not be aware of how destructive resentments actually are. We think, so what? I have a right to be angry. Or I might be nursing a grudge or two, but I don't see the harm. To see more clearly the effect that holding resentments is having in our lives, we might try imagining that we are carrying a rock for each resentment. A small grudge, such as anger at someone driving badly, might be represented by a pebble. Harboring ill will toward an entire group of people might be represented by an enormous boulder. If we actually had to carry stones for each resentment, we would surely tire of the weight. In fact, the more cumbersome our burden, the more sincere our efforts to unload it would be. The weight of our resentments hinders our spiritual development. If we truly desire freedom, we will seek to rid ourselves of as much extra weight as possible. As we lighten up, we'll notice an increased ability to forgive our fellow human beings for their mistakes and to forgive ourselves for our own. Well nourish our spirits, typo, will nourish our spirits with good thoughts, kind words, and service to others. Just for today, I will seek to have the burden of resentments removed from my spirit. That's beautiful. I like that meditation. Let's take a moment of silence, followed by the we version of the Serenity Prayer. Moment of silence now, please. Thank you. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things that we cannot change, the courage to change the things that we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Just for today, please and thank you. So we're talking about lightening the load and talking about our resentments and comparing them to pebbles or rocks, depending on how big of a resentment we might have. And most people do feel that way. That if I'm upset with someone, I'm probably upset with them for a reason, and I'm gonna stay upset as long as I want to. That's all very true. That is a true statement. You can stay upset, angry with them, resenting them for as long as you absolutely want to. No one can make you not have that resentment. No one can make me stop being angry, right? Even if they're trying to help me. It doesn't matter. When I'm done with the situation, I will be done with it and not before. So that's a very true statement. What's the harm in it? There's a lot of harm, right? It causes your blood pressure to go up. It causes dissension in anytime you two encounter. If you're talking about them, gossiping about them, or ruining their reputation by telling the story over and over and over, you're damaging the point of view or the reputation they have with other people, right? Because you're causing division, and so there's a lot of harm in it. Depends on how you're handling it. But ultimately, if you're not doing any of that and you're just walking around upset with them, it's causing you to have stress. And that stress is something that you seek unintentionally, probably, to maintain that resentment by replaying the situation over and over and over. That is what resentment is, right? It's rescinding something that has been minted in your experience, in your brain, right? In your heart. You're rescinding the whole story back to yourself over and over and over. And the rest of the world has moved on. And I found that there were times I thought my resentments were dealt with, only to have another situation come up that was similar, and it felt like all of a sudden the old situation came right back up. I thought I had forgiven, and the old situation came back up through another individual, and before you know it, my mind is right back down memory lane. I have an opportunity to relive this experience in the here and now, and I'm going to handle it a lot differently than I did before. Now, the thing about that is that sometimes emotions get in the way, and you're not really handling it better because you're handling out of heated emotion, right? You're not really analyzing the situation for what is truly going on, right? You're handling it based on something from the past. And so you're still reliving the past and causing your decision making to be shortchanged as a result of this past resentment. Some people say, no, I just learned my lesson. It depends on if learning your lessons uh, causes better fruit than the other situation, right? How you respond to this current situation. If the way that you're responding is causing you to have, a better go of it, right? A better result is what I'm trying to say. So if you're actually having a better result and it's helpful, then yeah. But if it's causing even more division, more dissension, you know what? I've been through that before, and I'm not going through it with you. And another thing, right? Okay, that's fine. You set them straight, but have you fully understood the situation? Now, I'm not talking about physical abuse. I'm not talking about mental and emotional abuse. I'm not talking about, I don't think any human being should have to deal with that, right? And so I'm not talking about those situations, but maybe you feel like you've been taken advantage of in some kind of way in the past, and you have a huge resentment with a certain group of people, or a certain terminology someone used, and you will not accept ever hearing that, right? And so maybe you end up being called out of your name by someone else, and because you've lived through this other situation and you have a resentment regarding it, right? You go in on it. You haven't, in 9 times out of 10, a lot of times, right? I take stuff out of context because my mind travels all the way back into the past, and I come forward with what I should have done about the past differently, and I respond in the here and now the way that I think I should have, right? It's very, very possible for that to happen. And of course, I'm not talking about the unacceptable terms that people use in our world today. I'm not talking about any of those racial slurs or anything like that, right? But I have often made the person that I'm dealing with in the here and now pay the price of what I thought someone else should have paid, in the resentment that I have with that person from the past. And all I'm saying is that we want to live in the here and now. Yes, of course, learn our lessons, but we don't want these resentments on our back like boulders so that we're bent over and not even able to look people into their eyes and see them for who they are. We do not want to be bent over from burdens from the past. And so today we want to lighten our load and seek a way to be able to be truly free. And that process a lot of times comes as a result of forgiveness, but also, like I said, stuff can come back up. We need to do the work, step work. Figure out your character defects from the stories that you retell in your fourth and fifth step. Figure out what those character defects and ask humbly to have those shortcomings removed from you, so that as you go into making your amends list, right, you have an accurate telling of what that list should look like. And a lot of times we are quick to have resentments with other people, but not actually looking at our part of that we've played in it, right? And so the step work will help you to be more thorough, and it will help you to get rid of those boulders. So today, those boulders or resentments that you are carrying, I want for you to find just one other person in your life in recovery, and just say, I want to talk through this situation, kind of like a mini fifth step. I want to talk about this situation. I don't need much of your time, maybe an hour. And I just want you to tell me as honestly as possible if you think I am wrong in any kind of way, and if the resentment I have about it is something that you see by what I'm telling you, that I'm carrying a boulder on my back with it and need to be freed from it. 9 times out of 10, the person that you approach will be honored to sit with you for an hour and talk about that. And this will give you an opportunity to practice what it's like to have a sponsor that you can trust, right? So that when you get to that stage, if you're not already there, you will be able to share some of these stories, and your sponsor will be able to help you rid yourself of those burdens. So practice today. That's what I want you to practice: becoming burden-free, resentment-free by sharing. My name is Mighty Stream. I've enjoyed talking to you today. I hope that you have a beautiful day on purpose.